Discovered, the hidden hero behind the seal. A touching moment when the Admiral saluted. Jake stared at the letter, the words bleeding into a blur of heartbreak and hope. A hidden hero? The thought sounded absurd in a town filled with real heroes, veterans who wore their bravery like medals of honor. Jake had always felt overshadowed by the ghost of his father, Tom, a Navy SEAL who had left nothing but wreckage in his wake. A relationship built on disappointment lay shattered, leaving Jake to fend for his ailing mother and bright-eyed sister, Mia, who dreamed big despite their heavy burdens. As the annual Maplewood Veterans Day event approached, excitement buzzed in the air like the sweet smell of home-cooked meals wafting down the streets. Families traded stories and laughter on their porches, their camaraderie a backdrop to Jake's growing anxiety. Would he be judged just by his father's legacy? The weight of expectation pressed against his chest, reminding him of the countless times he'd had to defend a man he barely knew. The day of the event dawned bright and beautiful. The town square transformed into a vibrant tapestry of flags, smiles, and shared salutes. Yet, as applause erupted for each veteran, Jake fought an inner battle. Memories of abandonment clashed with the profound realization upon reading that letter. Tom was proud of him. Tears stained his cheeks as he traced the ink, desperately trying to reconcile this new image of the man who had stayed away. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Standing among the veterans, Jake felt like an imposter. The Admiral approached, his gait steady, eyes sharp yet warm. Recognition flickered to life in those piercing blue depths. To Jake's shock, the Admiral saluted him, and time slowed. This was not a salute from a son to a father, nor a judgment from a stranger. I wasn't he the son of a fallen hero, but a man displaying quiet strength. His heart thudded, echoing with resilience as Mia's eyes glistened with pride. Silence enveloped the crowd, transforming Jake's turmoil into something almost uplifting. The murmurs paraded around him, awe stirring through the townsfolk as they chattered about the emotion hanging thick in the air. This gesture, a breaking of the fallow ground that had defined his family, surged through him, igniting dormant hope and possibility. But even as applause thundered in his ears, Jake grappled with a chaotic whirl of emotions. He could feel the weight of his past looming behind him. Was this moment a door opening, or merely a reminder of unresolved pain? Jake stood on the precipice of revelation. Would he let go of the bitterness that had clung to him like a shadow, or would he rise against the winds of heartbreak? The choice before him felt monumental, and yet here he was, suspended in a moment that begged him to choose the light. As the cheering enveloped him, Jake faced the crowd, ready to confront whatever lay ahead, whether it was acceptance or further struggle. Would the past slip away, making room for a changed future, or would it wrap him in its familiar embrace once more? The uncertainty loomed over him like a storm cloud, whispering promises of emotional catharsis yet again. Jake's heart raced as he stood there, the applause washing over him like rain in a drought. The warmth of it felt foreign yet thrilling, sparking a strange mix of guilt and gratitude. People continued to approach, veteran after veteran, offering their congratulations, sharing their own stories of struggle and triumph. Each handshake felt like a lifeline, connecting Jake to a lineage he had long felt disconnected from. Mia slipped her small hand into his, squeezing gently. "You did it, Jake," she whispered, beaming up at him with a brightness that made the shame lurking inside him dim, if only for a moment. Her excitement acted like a balm, soothing the chaotic storm brewing in the pit of his stomach. He wanted to believe her, to believe that today marked the beginning of something different, but then doubt crept in. What if they all knew? What if they saw through the mask he wore? The doubts churned like a dark tide just beneath a surface that seemed calm. As the Admiral moved away, Jake caught a glimmer of pity in his eyes that unsettled him. It made Jake question everything again. Was he really worthy of this moment, or was he simply a son caught in the shadow of his father? the commemorative speech began, a veteran standing on the small stage, voice steady and clear. Each word was a reminder of the sacrifices made, the lives lost, and Jake couldn't help but feel his throat tighten. Their stories were woven into the fabric of America, and here he stood. Was it right for him to claim space in that narrative? A total stranger stepped forward after the speech, a former Navy SEAL with a chiseled face that bore the lines of time and experience. "You've got your old man's spirit," he said, looking Jake straight in the eye. This hit Jake like a punch to the gut. He fought for this country, and if you're standing here today, it means he believed in you too. Jake fought to keep his composure, nodding slowly as a lump formed in his throat. He felt the weight of those words settle heavily on his chest, a mix of hope and anxiety. Maybe he could find a way to embrace that spirit to honor his father while still being true to himself. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting an orange glow over the square, Jake took a deep breath. The air felt different. Together with Mia, they watched as a treasured monument, the town's memorial, stood strong against the vastness of the coming night. For the first time, it didn't just represent loss. It felt like an invitation. "I want to do something different," Jake finally said, turning to Mia. "Let us make this town proud. Let us show them what we can do." Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement. "You mean like starting a community project? Something that brings everyone together?" "Exactly," Jake said, his voice gaining strength. "I don't just want to be known as Tom's son anymore. I want to create my own legacy, one that honors all those who have fallen but also lifts up the living. We can help families, veterans, everyone." That spark of determination ignited something deep within him. Perhaps this was his hidden hero moment, choosing action over despair, light over shadow, but just as he felt that resolve crystallizing, a shadow fell across his path. An unfamiliar figure emerged from the crowd, clenching something tightly in their hands, someone who seemed to know his father all too well. Jake's heart raced yet again as uncertain fear began to tangle with curiosity. Who could it be, and what would this stranger reveal? Jake's heart pounded as the figure stepped closer, the weight of the crowd's energy shifting. The stranger was tall, his hair silver and slicked back, bearing a resemblance to the naval portraits that decorated the town hall. With a firm jaw and deep-set eyes, he exuded an air of command that demanded respect. The clenching of his fist sent a tremor of concern through Jake. What did he want? "Mr. Collins," the man said, voice deep and resonant, slicing through the festive chatter around them. "I've been looking for you." Yeah." Jake replied, unsure of what to say. He looked to Mia for reassurance, her expression caught somewhere between curiosity and concern. "Lieutenant Commander Mitchell," the stranger introduced himself, extending a hand. "I served alongside your father." Jake's breath caught. "My dad?" "Yes," Mitchell continued, his grip firm. "Your father was a good man. Brave to the core. We lost a lot that day, and he hesitated, glancing around as if seeking the right words. "I never had a chance to tell him how much his courage meant to me." Jake searched the man's face, needing to know. "What do you mean? What happened?" Mitchell's gaze dropped, the festivity around him dimming slightly as he remembered. He was fearless. When the mission turned south, he turned it back around, saved lives. I owe him everything. The silence hung heavy as Jake absorbed this. His father was no longer merely a shadow behind a heroic legacy, he was a man, complex and flawed, yet undeniably brave. Feeling the swell of emotions, Jake swallowed hard. I didn't know. I always thought he didn't live up to expectations. Mitchell interjected gently, reading Jake's turmoil. I can see it in your eyes, son. You're carrying a weight that isn't yours to bear. I just want to prove I am worthy, Jake admitted, vulnerability threading through his voice. The former SEAL placed a hand on Jake's shoulder, drawing him back into the present. You already are worthy. You're here, wanting to make a difference in the very same spirit your father fought for. That's a legacy in its own right, the courage to step into the light. Jake felt a warmth spreading through him, mingling with the fear that had threatened to drown him moments before. But there's so much I don't know. Then you learn, Mitchell urged firmly. You gather stories, connect with people. Your father started something good, and you can carry it forward. Mia squeezed Jake's hand, and he turned to her, catching the spark of determination dancing in her eyes. We can do this together, she whispered, her faith in him steady and strong. Just as Jake began to feel hopeful, Mitchell hesitated, his face darkening. But there are things from the past that could come to light, secrets about your father and the mission. Things that need to be handled delicately. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What secrets? What had his father hidden? It felt as if a veil had been drawn back, revealing a storm threatening to erupt around him. Is it going to change everything? Jake asked quietly, finding it hard to maintain eye contact with the commander. No, Jake. You decide what the truth means for you. But it's a truth you'll need to confront. As the sun completely vanished, leaving the square in twilight, Jake stood caught between two worlds. One hand grasped tight to the legacy of a father he hadn't truly known, while the other held the promise of a life he was just beginning to forge. What would he uncover in the depths of those secrets, and how would they shape his path forward? Jake's thoughts swirled like the autumn leaves caught in a sudden gust. The enormity of Mitchell's words weighed heavy on his chest. Secrets about his father. He felt a knot tighten in his stomach, churning with unknowing. He could hardly make sense of the crumbling pieces of his past while gazing into this stranger's eyes, whose respect for his father was palpable. Mia's fingers wrapped tighter around his, grounding him. Maybe we should have a talk with him somewhere private, she suggested. Her voice held a steadiness that steadied Jake's racing heart. Good idea, Mitchell agreed, his tone shifting to a more serious inflection. There's a lot to unpack, and this isn't the place. The three of them threaded through the now quieting square, the music fading behind them. As they stepped into an empty courtyard, Jake felt a mix of anticipation and dread. The world felt so large, yet here he was, surrounded by echoes of his father's heroism. He found a bench, and they sat in the dim light, the shadows merging with the weight of the unknown. Mitchell faced Jake, his expression softening. Your father was involved in something bigger than you know. A mission that went south. It wasn't just difficult, it was a matter of life and death, and every choice hinged on his leadership. Why didn't anyone talk about this? Jake challenged, his emotions flaring. Why all the secrecy? Sometimes, Jake, the truth is a burden. Your mother thought it best to let you live with the memory of a hero rather than the reality of war's chaos, Mitchell explained gently. But you deserve to know the man behind that legacy. Jake nodded slowly, lungs heavy as he fought against rising anger. Each word felt like a chisel, uncovering layers of his father that he had never known. What do I need to know? Mitchell glanced at Mia, as if seeking a silent approval, then looked back at Jake. Your dad made choices that I can never forget. Some were right, others. He sighed, the weight of old memories taking hold. He didn't make them lightly. Like what? Jake pressed, the pulse in his throat quickening. Jake, lives were at stake. He held on to his humanity amidst everything. And he made sacrifices. Mitchell's voice trailed off, uncertainty flashing across his face. Some of those choices directly affected the people he was trying to protect. There are families out there who might not understand him as you've come to see him. So you're saying I'm going to lose what I thought I knew? Jake felt a tremor of panic. It was more than a revelation, it felt like an entire foundation of his identity was at risk. No, think of it as gaining a fuller picture. Understanding isn't about diluted respect, it's about embracing complexity, Mia interjected softly. You can hold on to the good and acknowledge the hard. Jake took a breath, her words wrapping around him like a shield. This journey into his father's past could change him for better or worse. I want to know everything, he replied, determination lacing his voice. I don't want any secrets between me and who he was. That's the spirit, Mitchell said, a flicker of respect shining in his eyes. Let us begin with the stories. I owe it to both of you. It's time to honor his memory fully. As night deepened, the stars emerged, gleaming above like distant beacons of hope. The path felt clearer now, though uncertainty lingered at the edges. Suddenly, the weight of what lay ahead pressed against Jake. Alone in the embrace of darkness and new beliefs, he questioned how this knowledge would ripple through his life. What would these revelations cost him, and where would they lead? With renewed focus, he locked eyes with the commander. Let us start. And tell me everything. But just as Mitchell opened his mouth to begin, the distant echo of sirens broke through the night, a flash of red and blue slicing across the dark sky, igniting a new unease. What chaos awaited them in the shadows? The sound of sirens echoed closer, swirling into the courtyard like an unwelcome wind. Jake's heart raced as he caught a glimpse of flashing lights illuminating the shadows. Suddenly, the weight of the conversation felt even heavier, pressed down by the urgency of the unfolding chaos outside. What is happening? Mia asked, glancing around, her brow furrowed in worry. Mitchell's eyes sharpened as he stood, tension radiating from him. Stay here. I'll check it out. Are you serious? Jake shot back. We're not just going to sit here and wait. I want to know what is going on. This is about my father. Jake, I understand, Mitchell replied, his voice calming yet firm. But it might be dangerous out there. Just trust me. Jake felt the frustration boiling over. It wasn't just about gathering the pieces of his father's past anymore, it was about stepping into a world of unpredictability. He shot a pleading glance at Mia, silently begging for her support. Maybe we should stay close, she suggested, her fingers still gripping his. If something's wrong, we'll need each other. Mitchell nodded, but his eyes revealed an urgency that spoke of deeper truths yet to surface. All right. Let us stick together, but we need to be cautious. As they remained in the secluded space, the sounds of the outside world twisted into a backdrop of chaos. Footsteps thundered as new figures rushed into the courtyard. Jake's breath caught in his throat as two uniformed police officers burst right into view, urgency lining their faces. Has anyone seen a man in a black jacket? He's dangerous. One officer yelled, scanning the area before locking eyes with the trio. A black jacket? Jake repeated, suddenly feeling as though his blood ran cold. Is he connected to what is happening? Stay put, the other officer said, raising a hand. We're trying to apprehend someone who has been reported in this area. We need everyone to cooperate. What does he want? Mitchell asked, voice steady despite the brewing chaos. Time's running out, we need to act now, the officer said, frustration evident. This man might not be alone. We've already lost the trace. Jake felt the walls closing in as his mind raced. Higher stakes, more complexity. Could this have something to do with his father? What if the past had emerged in a darker form? I can't just wait here, Jake said, shaking with urgency. We need to know if the man they're talking about could be. It's not safe, Mia urged, her eyes locked onto his. Before they could finish, there was a crackling sound followed by a loud shout. More officers moved in, their presence amplifying the sense of dread. Jake felt a familiar knot in his stomach as he glimpsed moments of panic, allies turning into strangers. Get everyone back, this is a quarantined area. Another commanding voice bellowed. Mitchell turned to Jake, his expression a mix of concern and determination. I know you want answers, Jake. But we can't chase shadows. Not now. Frustrated, Jake felt the swell of emotions: fear, uncertainty, anger. Each second was thick with tension. The past and present seemed to collide, making the air electric, and just as Jake opened his mouth to voice his next thought, a sudden crashing sound erupted from the far side of the courtyard. The noise drew all eyes, leaving them breathless. Stay back. The officers shouted, and the world around them changed in an instant. Jake's heart pounded in his chest. What had they stepped into? Who was this man in the shadows, and how did he relate to his father's legacy? Every answer felt just out of reach as he braced for whatever would come next, forging ahead into uncertainty. The sound of shattering glass rang out, sharp and unsettling in the evening air. Jake instinctively stepped closer to Mia, feeling her warmth as an anchor amid the chaos swirling around them. The scene was intense, officers shouted commands, urging the small crowd to retreat. The panic rippling through the courtyard was palpable, and Jake felt his heart race, forcing every frayed nerve to attention. Out of the way! Move back! Shouted one officer, his voice slicing through the murmurs of confusion. Jake clenched his fists, battling between his instincts to run toward the sound and the urge to protect Mia. She squeezed his hand tighter, her terrified eyes reflecting his own sense of urgency. He could sense Mitchell beside them, equally torn, searching for answers amidst the mounting anxiety. Jake, let us just Mitchell began, but the words hung in the air, difficult to voice against the cacophony unfolding around them. Had to be something, Jake muttered, his mind racing. What if it's him? What if this could be connected? Your father? Mia breathed, her voice trembling. What if he is in danger? The idea that his father might be caught up in this nightmare sent a jolt of adrenaline through him. Each second felt like an eternity, and he had to know. I can't just sit here. He blurted out, breaking free from their huddle. Mitchell grabbed his arm. You have to think. You don't know what's out there. Or what's in here, Jake replied, shaking off Mitchell's grip. With resolve, he pulled away, darting towards the gathering crowd. Mia followed, her breath catching in her throat. Jake! Don't! But he was already making his way to where the officers were stationed, overwhelmed by whispers of speculation and fear. Laughter and shouting suddenly cut through, harsh and jarring like a knife. A flash of movement caught his eye, the dark figure silhouetted against the chaos. Jake's heart seized. Was that him? Where are you going? An officer barked, stepping in front of Jake as he tried to push further. You need to move back. But Jake refused to back down. Please, I need to know about the man in the black jacket. You're looking for him, right? I might be seen him. The officer eyed him, hesitation flickering in his gaze. We don't have time for games, kid. This is serious. But Jake's voice steadied, charged with desperation. Do you think I'm playing? My father, he could be involved. Just let me help. The air thickened, shock running through the officer's posture. Your father, the words hung heavy, washing over the din around them as realization swept in. In that moment, the officer's eyes narrowed in understanding. He could see that Jake was more than just an anxious teenager. The loud crack of a shout erupted nearby. Get down! Jake's instincts kicked in, adrenaline flowing through him. He realized they weren't just dealing with a man in a black jacket. The chaos had become far more dangerous. Mia's hand gripped Jake's arm tighter as they huddled close. What are we going to do? I don't know, he said, swallowing hard. But I want to let my father become a shadow of that man. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the tension again, and a figure burst through the chaos, frantically making their way towards them. Jake's heart stuttered at the sight. Don't move! The officer shouted. But as the figure approached, Jake realized this was no stranger, but someone he recognized. Stop right there! Mitchell yelled, grabbing Jake's arm to hold him back. Jake's breath caught as the figure grew closer, revealing a familiar smirk. Jake! I need your help, the figure said, urgency coating every word. The moment hung in the air, fraught with meaning. Had he stepped from one mystery into another? Everything he knew about the past was flipping, and as he stared into those familiar eyes, he couldn't help but wonder, were they ready for what came next? Jake's mind raced, a whirlwind of emotions crashing into him as he wrestled with the implications of that familiar face. Chloe. He stammered, trying to make sense of the unfolding scene. She had been a childhood friend, someone who had always been there, a constant in the unpredictable world of his youth. "Jake, it's a mess out here," Chloe said breathlessly, keeping her eyes darting to the crowd, as if waiting for a storm to hit. "I need to explain, but it's not safe here." "What are you doing? You can't just show up like this. You could get Jake." She interrupted, urgency pouring from her voice. "Listen to me. We don't have time for this. I need your help to find him." He felt the weight of her words. His father, was she talking about him? The stakes were rising with every second. Jake caught Mia's worried glance, a flood of questions shared between them. "Where is he? Is he okay?" he asked, trying to mask the tremor in his voice with determination. Chloe clenched her jaw, her smirk fading into a worried frown. "I don't know exactly. But there are dangerous people after him, and if we don't act now," she hesitated, taking a breath that came out shaky but resolved. "We need to get him before it's too late." Mitchell, who had been watching the scene unfold, stepped closer, his brow furrowing deeper. "Jake, do you trust her?" he asked, voice low yet carrying an intensity that demanded an answer. "I don't know," Jake replied, panic flashing across his face. "But if there's even a chance she knows what is happening, we have to listen." "Listen," Chloe said. "I came as fast as I could, but I can't take you to him without some help. I need info. Any intel you have could make a difference." "What kind of intel?" Jake felt the gravity of the situation, like an anchor tugging at him, but a spark of hope flickered. Maybe this was their way in, their chance to act. "Your dad, he was on something big, but it went south. Those men in black. They're not just after him, they're hunting down anyone close to the truth." Chloe paused, taking in the surroundings, the anxiety festering in the courtyard. "You can help if we can figure out what he has been involved in." Jake felt Mitchell's grip on his arm tighten, concern washing over his features. "This isn't just about your dad anymore, Jake. If we're going to do this, we all go together. We have to stay close and make sure we're safe." Mia interjected, "Wait, what about the police? We need to tell them." Chloe shook her head forcefully, her eyes intent on Jake. "No. They might not know everything, or worse, they might be involved. If this is about getting your father out safely, we can't risk it." Jake grappled with her words. The air around them felt electric, and he could feel the escalating tension. Chloe's urgency seeped into him, a stirring conviction mingling with fear, a reminder of the brotherhood they once had. "Okay," he finally said, heart pounding in rhythm with the pulse of impending danger. "But what do we do first?" "First, we need to get somewhere private," Chloe replied, determination swirling in her gaze. "Somewhere we can think. They can't track us if we're smart." The chaos around them continued to brew, panic swirling like a tornado. Jake nodded, glancing at Mia and Mitchell, seeing the mixture of doubt and resolve mirrored in their eyes. "Let us do it. Together." As they darted away from the chaos, heading for an alley that would lead to a quieter part of the city, a thought hung in Jake's mind: was this the start of a new journey? Or just another layer of peril? But before he could formulate an answer, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed from behind them. Uncertainty crept back in, and Jake realized they weren't just escaping the chaos, it seemed their fight was far from over. "Jake," Mia said, fear lacing her voice. "What if they find us?" His heart raced again as they skidded into the shadows. "We'll figure it out," he murmured with a trembling hope. But as the footsteps grew louder, he could only wonder, were they ready to face the truths waiting in the dark? They pressed deeper into the alley, the walls closing in around them like a fortress built from fear and uncertainty. Jake could feel the cold brick against his back, heart pounding in his ears, drowning out everything else. Mia, a few steps in front, glanced back, eyes wide with worry. The footsteps were heavy, purposeful. It felt like they were being hunted. Chloe pulled out a phone, its screen flickering in the dim light as she scanned the area. We need to find a place to talk. Somewhere safe. Her voice was steady now, but Jake could see the tension in her jaw. Every second ticked by like a countdown to something explosive. Over there. Mitchell pointed to a door at the end of the alley that looked like it hadn't been touched in years. It was a forgotten place, hidden away from prying eyes. Without a second thought, they dashed toward it, adrenaline giving them speed. Jake pushed the door, and it creaked open, revealing a dusty room bare, except for a single chair and garbage littered across the floor. Chloe stepped inside first, then waved them in, keeping a watchful eye on the alley. Once inside, the air thickened with the weight of their predicament. The sound of distant shouts echoed, and all Jake could think was how unprepared he felt. "What's the plan?" he asked, his voice low but urgent, filled with a mix of fear and determination. Chloe moved closer, looking Jake in the eye. "We need every detail about your father. Think. Did he mention anything, any places or people?" Jake racked his brain, memories flashing before him like a slideshow. His father's late-night phone calls, hush-hush conversations in the living room, the stressed wrinkle around his brow when he glanced at the door, as if someone were watching. He was always secretive. He said something once about a deal going wrong. "It was the last time I saw him before things got messy." Mitchell cursed under his breath. "Why didn't you say anything sooner?" "I didn't think it meant anything." Jake shot back. "I just thought he was being paranoid." Chloe squeezed Jake's shoulder. "Your dad is involved in something serious. We have to figure out where he is before they find him first." Just then, a crash outside startled them, sending shivers down Jake's spine. Shadows danced against the walls of the room as footsteps approached. "Someone's coming." Mia gasped, her whisper barely pinched out. Jake's heart sank. "What do we do now?" Panic clawed at him, twisting inside as the reality of their situation sunk in. "We're trapped." "Not yet," Chloe said, stepping toward the door. "We need to create a distraction. Something to buy us time." Mitchell's thoughts unfolded quickly. "If we break a window or something, make a loud noise, it might draw them away." "It's risky." Mia protested, glancing nervously at Jake, who felt torn between fear and a growing sense of urgency. Chloe nodded, determination sparking in her eyes. "We don't have a choice. We need to lure them out." "I'll do it. You guys stay close and be ready to follow." "No. You can't go alone," Jake argued, anxiety twisting his stomach. "What if Jake?" she interrupted, her voice steady but firm. "We're running out of time. I came to find your father, and I'm not leaving without him." A sudden resolve flooded through him. This was their moment to take back control. "Let us do it together." Jake took a breath and then moved toward the window. Mia and Mitchell exchanged worried glances, but if they were going to get out of this alive, now was the time to stand together. As they gathered around the window, a single thought pulsed through Jake's mind: this was more than just about his father now. They had to fight for each other. With a deep breath, they prepared to make their escape, hearts racing in synchrony. But just as they were ready to act, the door flung open. Faces framed in shadows stood silhouetted in the doorway, blocking their escape. Jake froze, the air thick with tension. "Looks like we found you," one of them sneered, and Jake's breath caught in his throat. Had they really stepped into something they couldn't handle? Would this be the moment? Everything changed, or would they discover just how deep the danger really went? Jake's heart pounded louder than ever as he gazed into the darkness of the doorway. In that breathless moment, he could see their faces, a mix of shadows and menace anchoring him in a fear that drenched his every thought. He felt the tension pulsing in the space around them, a tangible wall that threatened to crush hope. "Run!" Chloe shouted, breaking the spell. Her voice was a spark igniting the chaos in Jake. He lunged toward the window, but he wasn't the only one moving. Mia grabbed his arm, pulling him back. "No, we need to stick together." Footsteps thudded into the room, echoing like thunder in his ears. Mitchell darted to the side, looking for anything to use as a weapon. Jake's mind raced, scrambling for an escape. The alley was tight a trap, and here they were, backed into a dusty corner where danger surrounded them. "Get ready," Jake hissed, glancing back at Chloe, whose face was a mask of focus and fear. The thugs stepped closer, their smirking faces illuminated by the dim light from the alley, casting long, sinister shadows over them. "You think you can hide?" one of them said, chuckling darkly. "We just want to talk." "Yeah, right," Chloe shouted back, her voice fierce despite the tremor. "We're not interested in your games." Jake could feel the sweat trickling down the back of his neck. "What do they want?" he whispered, searching for an answer in Chloe's eyes. "What do they know?" "I don't know," she replied, her voice steady. "But we can't let them separate us." "Focus, Jake. We stick together, always." That solidarity shattered his fear, anchoring him amid the chaos. He nodded, his resolve hardening. "Right. Together." Suddenly, Mitchell scrambled to the side and hurled a loose piece of wood at one of the intruders. It struck him squarely in the shoulder, and the man let out a surprised yelp. Chaos erupted as the others turned at the sound, their gazes shifting away from Jake and their moment of advantage slipping away. "Go!" Chloe shouted, and in a heartbeat, they edged toward the small window. Jake squeezed through first, pushing himself over the cracked sill as debris scraped against his arms. Just as he bolted outside, the familiar sound of heavy footsteps hit his ears again, louder now as they echoed off the alley walls. There was no more time to hesitate. Mia came right after him, her small frame slipping through with desperate urgency. Mitchell chased behind, and just before he was through, a hand shot out from the doorway. "Grab him!" Chloe yelled. Jake didn't look back, but he felt the air shift behind him. Would they make it? He forced his legs to run faster, panic surging through him. They barreled down the alley, breathless, the night air cutting sharply into their lungs. Each step felt both exhilarating and terrifying, pushing them further away from peril. "Where now?" Mia panted, glancing sideways, wide-eyed. "Anywhere they aren't," Jake shouted, darting past a dumpster. But deep down, a dread settled in his stomach. No matter how fast they ran, the creeping realization loomed: were they really safe or just prolonging the inevitable? As they rounded the corner into another darkened street, a flicker of lights caught Jake's attention. His instincts kicked in. "Over there. That garage looks abandoned." "We can hide," he said, pointing toward a faint outline, but just as they neared the door, a car skidded to a stop nearby. Jake's breath caught again, and he felt Chloe's hand grip his arm tightly. "What now?" she whispered, fear flashing in her eyes. The door of the car swung open, and a figure stepped out, silhouetted against the harsh light. Jake felt a mix of hope and despair wash over him. Was this someone who would help them, or another wave of danger waiting to crash down? "Get down!" Chloe ordered, but Jake's feet felt frozen. He watched, helpless, as the person stepped closer, their identity slowly revealing itself. "Jake!" The voice rang out like a lifeline, but the question remained: was this truly the ally they needed, or another twist in their fate? Would Jake dare to trust again, or would this moment bring him closer to a truth he wasn't ready to face? "Dad?" Jake's voice broke as recognition surged through him like a tidal wave. The figure stepping out of the car wasn't just anyone, it was Tom Collins, his father, the same man he had tried to understand, the one who haunted his thoughts and dreams for so long. Relief washed over him, and in a heartbeat, it was overcome by a surge of confusion and fear. Jake blinked as Tom moved closer, the weariness etched deeply into his features. "Jake, you're safe now," Tom said, his voice laced with urgency and a warmth that sent a shiver down Jake's spine. "You have to listen to me." But time was a cruel master, and urgency knotted itself around them like a vice. The shadows from the alley loomed closer, with danger nipping at their heels. They had been too exposed, too vulnerable. "We need to hide," Chloe insisted, pulling them back into action. "Not here," Tom said firmly. "We need to get away before they find out where you are." Who's after you?" Jake stammered, his mind racing with questions, emotions boiling within him like a volcano ready to erupt. "There isn't time to explain. Just trust me." Tom's gaze flicked to the darkening street where danger lurked. "The people I've been fighting against, they won't stop until they get what they want. I can't let that happen to you." Adrenaline surged. "What do we do?" Jake asked, feeling his father's presence like a protective shield for the first time in years. "Get in the car," Tom commanded, his stern eyes demanding obedience. Jake hesitated, his heart conflicted. How could he trust the man who had been a ghost in his life for so long? "Jake!" Mia urged, her voice weaving through his thoughts. "We can trust him, he's here." With a shared glance of determination, they rushed to the car, squeezing in tight. Tom slammed the door just as the sound of footsteps echoed closer. "Hold on!" he shouted, revving the engine. As they peeled away from the curb, the realization unfolded within Jake: his father wasn't just a remnant of his childhood. He was real, he was here, and he had fought through darkness to find him. The car blasted down the road, the landscape blurring past them like shadows escaping the night. The rush of the wind filled the silence, a shared moment of relief and confusion swirling in the cramped space. "Dad," Jake began, but Tom's intensity disrupted him. "You're part of this now, son," Tom said, his voice steady. "There are truths about my past that you need to know. The heroes, the villains, everything is intertwined. I ran from it, but you deserve to know the whole story." Jake felt a fierce determination light within him, battling against all doubts and confusions. "I can handle it," he replied, resolve coursing through his veins. "I want to know everything. I want to fight with you." Tom's eyes softened, a flicker of pride breaking through the tension. "Then let us start with the truth." As they wound through dark streets, Tom began weaving together the narrative of sacrifice, of hope lost and found. The voices of laughter and camaraderie mingled with tales of loss and conflict, and Jake felt a heaviness lift from his shoulders, replaced by a newfound sense of belonging. Chloe leaned forward. "If we work together, we can come up with a plan. Those people won't stop until they get what they want." "Yes," Tom replied, his focus unwavering. "But we're not just fighting for me anymore. We're fighting for everyone who matters. For you, Mia, for everyone who has ever been affected by my choices." The warmth swelled in the car, igniting a spirit they could all share in unity. Suddenly, a dark vehicle loomed behind them, engines buzzing dangerously close. Panic ignited in Jake. "They found us. Buckle up!" Tom shouted, swerving hard to maneuver through the tangled streets. The chase was on, but so was their fight. As adrenaline surged through Jake's veins, an unexpected excitement flickered to life. "Let us do this!" he hollered, determination burning bright. And then it happened, the unexpected transformation as they sped on, dodging danger like a tornado of hope. They weren't just shadows anymore. They would face this together. Each moment rewired the connection between father and son, transforming their struggles into something undeniably powerful. "I believe in you, Jake," Tom said, steering skillfully through narrow streets. The words wrapped around Jake, warming him from the inside out like a blanket of love. With every twist and turn, they were forging their legacy, one filled with bravery and resilience. The whispers of the past began to fade, slowly replaced by the resolve to carve their own narrative amidst the chaos waiting ahead. United as a family, they knew they would uncover the truths hidden in the shadows, and as the night wore on, the bond between them transformed, a flickering light pushing through the darkness of uncertainty, and just like that, Jake embraced the journey ahead, refusing to turn back. This was his moment. Together, they would rise against the tides. As the headlights pierced through the darkness, hope illuminated their path, the start of something new, something vibrant, something possible. They were ready to fight, and now it was time to make their stand. Don't wait. You need to subscribe now to our channel to catch every twist in this incredible story. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm and keep the dreams alive. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this explosive ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to support your favorite channel. True fans understand the importance of being part of our community. The adventure has only just begun.